Hi everyone, welcome to Doug's Guitar of the Day, episode 7. Today we have a Stratocaster copy, clone, whatever, fake. It, there's millions of Stratocaster copies around. They must be an easy guitar to manufacture. Some are better than others. But most of them will work for you, and you'll be surprised at the character that some of these cheaper guitars have. This particular one of those sentimental jobs that I won't get rid of. But my daughter bought this for me in 2012. I think she bought it for like $30 at an antique store or whatever, and it was made by a company called Glen Burton, I believe. It's really light. I'm not sure what kind of wood the body's made out of. Could be basswood, could be something I've never heard of, but which is no big deal to me. Now, this is not the original neck that came with the guitar. This is a Fender Squier neck that I took off a Fender Squier guitar that my friend Bill Kraft had given me. I ended up putting another neck on the Squier, so I had the Squier neck extra, so I replaced it. It was a little bit better quality than the one that was on there, and it's not too hard to replace necks. Usually the neck pocket where the neck screws onto 4 screws, they're usually pretty consistent. You may have to shim them up here or there to get the action right, but it's usually not that difficult. So it says Squier Strat Fender. It's an Affinity series Strat, which are pretty inexpensive, but pretty stable guitars. Anyway, first thing I did was rewire it, and this might have been the second or third time. Stratocasters are easy to experiment with. You just take the strings off, take all these screws out of the pick guard, and lift the whole pick guard up, and you can, put a bunch of different configurations in it as far as wiring goes, which is one of my favorite things to do, that you've probably gathered by this episode if you've been following this. So what we have in the back pickup position is a GFS rails pickup, GFS standing for Guitar Fetish, which is a website that sells, reasonably priced aftermarket parts. Good sounding pickup. Now it's basically a humbucking pickup that fits in a single coil slot. There's actually 2 coils side by side, and rather than having individual pole pieces like this middle pickup for each string, this is a blade type pickup where it's got 2 different blades that kind of pick up the vibration from the strings. It's a high output pickup, and it's got 4 conductor wiring, so I could have done other stuff to it, like, coil taps or parallel or, stuff like that, or out of phase. Didn't mess with any of that, so it's wired as a standard humbucker. Now, the middle pickup is disconnected on this guitar, and we'll get more into that here shortly. Front pickup is also a rails type pickup, but it's a DiMarzio. It's actually a DiMarzio Billy Corgan model. I don't know what the specs are. I don't know what the claim to fame is. I think it's actually a bridge position humbucker, but it didn't have as much output as this one did, so I put it in the neck. Usually you need your hotter pickup in the bridge. Reason being, the strings vibrate more towards the neck than they do towards the bridge. So you need a hotter pickup to compensate for that. So wiring wise, usually a Strat, whether it has a 3-way or 5-way switch, usually the back position is this pickup, the middle position is the middle pickup, and the front position is the front pickup. But on this, it's more like a Telecaster, because the middle pickup's disconnected. So you got your lead or bridge pickup, and then in the middle position you have your bridge pickup and your neck pickup, which is how a Telecaster is wired, and then your neck pickup in the front. Simple wiring scheme: master volume, master tone. Originally a Strat has a master volume and a tone for the front and a separate tone for the middle. I just went ahead and did master volume, master tone. It's easy to use. This one makes it louder. This one makes it brighter. You don't have to worry about that stuff. So these knobs are off a Heathkit amplifier from the 60s. I thought they were kind of, 60s looking. I thought they went well with this guitar. I didn't have any luck fixing the amplifier, so I saved the knobs. This other knob here used to be the tone control for the middle pickup. So I had a big hole there. Actually, there's another hole there where I had another switch at one time. But I wanted to plug this hole with something, so I went to Radio Shack, got a momentary push button switch, and wired it, between the electronics and the output, and made a momentary kill switch. So what it does is when I push on it, I can get that kind of effect. Works better with distortion. I don't use it that much. It's just something fun for a change. So sound wise, we'll go ahead and go through that. Here's the lead pickup. And it's wired in output loaded or 50s fashion. So when you turn the volume down, you still get that chimey high end coming through. And you don't need any extra, what they call treble bleed capacitors to do that. So I usually wire everything this way. You've probably gathered that by episode 7. Tone control. These are, and it works just like a regular tone control should. The middle position, which is the 2 outside pickups. Remember, the middle one's not connected on this guitar. Real pretty and clear. Similar to a Telecaster middle position. And then the front, it's a little bit warmer. So there's that. It's really simple. Now this guitar originally had a fulcrum type tremolo, Strat type tremolo or vibrato. Actually, it's vibrato means change in pitch. Tremolo means change in volume. They call it a tremolo bar, but actually it's a vibrato bar. Doesn't matter. I don't hook it up anyway. The bar screws down into this little hole right here, but this one, the block that goes on the back is broke, so a bar won't fit in it anyway. You can't see, but if I was to take this plate off, there's springs that come from the tremolo block to a claw up here, and that allows you to adjust the angle of the bridge back and forth. I usually tighten them as tight as they can go, so the bridge actually touches the body, because if it doesn't, since it's riding on those springs, the springs actually bring the bridge back. If you have a bar and you dump it down, it springs it back to where it's supposed to be. But since I'm not using a bar, and I know this is quick and vague, but basically I tighten the springs down till the bridge hits the body, and that makes it a little bit more stable. It's almost like having the body screwed down, or the bridge screwed down to the body. Makes it a lot more tuning stable. If I didn't do that, if I were to bend one string, then other strings would go out of tune due to the tension of those springs. that's a little lengthy, probably worthy of another video to explain that, and there's plenty of them out there. So this is mainly about my guitar collection. So there's the sounds to it. I want to talk a little bit about cheap guitars. Back in the 10 minutes 22 seconds. Okay, well, back in the 90s, I had to sell most of my guitars. I ended up with pretty much nothing. I had to pay some medical bills, which is no big deal. I was glad I had the guitars to sell to do it. But I ended up with a Strat copy similar to this. It was a Lotus. And I had to borrow an amplifier at the same time. I didn't think I would need a guitar because at that time I wasn't in a band. Well, then I got in a band. I had to have a guitar, and I ended up with a cheap, $30 guitar, which I made some adjustments to, borrowed an amplifier, and I probably had, maybe $100 investment in this stuff, and I just sold, a couple $1,000s or more of guitars, and got in a band and got more compliments on my sound than, or just as many as I did with the expensive stuff. So that kind of changed my way of thinking. As long as your guitar is set up right and you've got an ear for tone, you can get the job done with an import guitar like this. Now, since then, of course, I've amassed a decent collection of more expensive guitars, but still having a cheap guitar do the job is something that's really cool for me. So find a track here, play along with, see how we go. Kind of give you an idea that cheap can be cool. A lot of times cheaper guitars have a certain character to them that you can't get out of more expensive guitars, but it's all good. So let's see what we can do.